going on, everybody? My name's Chris. Welcome back to Bourbonsane. Today we have got a bottle that I have loved for years and years, and it's usually a fan favorite among a lot of bourbon enthusiasts. We have got the 1920 Old Forester Prohibition Style Bourbon. Now, this is a part of Old Forester's Whiskey Row series. They've got several expressions in that, the 1897, 1920, the 1910, and they actually put out a 10-year recently as well. This bottle comes in at 57.5% ABV, and the reason they bottled it at 115 is because back in the day when Old Forester was producing medicinal whiskey, so for medical purposes, that was typically the barrel proof strength, actually, 115 back in those days, which is kind of interesting. I didn't know that originally or know the history of that, but that is interesting. This bottle and Old Forester as a distillery in general has always been one of my favorites, for years and years. I have not purchased a bottle of this in probably 2 years. The bottle I had that I finished recently was 2, maybe 3 years old even at that point. So what I'm curious to find out today is, does this bottle hold up? Is it still one of the best values in bourbon, or has the quality kind of fallen off a little bit? So I really want to find that out because, like I said, it has been a while, and price here has been slightly rising. So let's get into it. Old Forester, as mentioned, 115 proof, and they don't have an age statement on this. So most likely it's going to be between 6 and 8 years. Nothing is disclosed, though, so it's hard to say. We'll have to just give it a nose, give it a taste, and see what we find out. Oh my gosh, am I really that white? Okay, well, I got some tan lines. I just realized that. Sorry, that's my ADHD kicking in. Let's go into the color on this. It's got a nice dark color. Old Forester typically has those nice dark colors anyway in their bourbon. Shows up even on younger stuff a lot of times. So mash bill on this, I don't think I mentioned, is 72% corn, 18% rye, and 10% malted barley as well. So let's go into the nose. Okay. All right. It could be because of the format of this video where I'm trying to find out if quality has changed over the years of this, but this is just immediately smelling much thinner than I remember. It definitely has that brown form and profile. You know what I mean? To me, it's always like a chocolate-covered cherry. Dark cocoa. Still got that classic bourbon notes. You got your deep caramels. As it's opening up a little more here, even with me swirling the glass, it's getting better. It's getting better. Fruitiness, but it's mostly those classic bourbon notes, baking spice, clove, and definitely chocolate-covered cherry. Always get that in this bottle. All right, let's give it a taste. Cheers. Let me give it another sip before I say anything. Let me give it another sip. Give it another chance. Man, that's better. That sip is better. The big note that hits me first, though, is almost a youthful, grainy note, which I don't normally get on these Old Forester bottles. Even their base, especially the 100 proof Old Forester, one of the best values to me. I don't get a youthful graininess, really. Almost like a sawdusty, or, when you think of like a craft distillery, some of those younger whiskeys, sometimes you get those notes. It's still got definitely the vanilla caramel, but it's almost tastes to me like an artificial vanilla caramel. It could be just because this is a neck pour as well. I want to give this a fair chance. We'll have to do a re-review or maybe a quick 2-minute hit or quitter on this later on just to see if it's changed, but it's got a youthful grain. Better. Each sip, each smell is getting a little bit better, honestly. It's definitely those same Old Forester notes. Chocolate-covered cherry. Still the baking spice. Mouthfeel is actually pretty decent. I got a medium to long finish here, and it's not only coating like the middle back of the tongue, but it's getting the top of my gums as well. Doesn't always happen with a lot of bourbons. You know what I mean? That does not happen, so pretty good. I'm going to give it one more sip here, then we'll go into our verdict. Yeah, outside of that chocolate covered cherry, not much fruitiness at all. 18% rye is not a low amount. Not getting a lot of rye spice though, you know. It's mostly just classic bourbon notes to me, which is good. You know, when I think of classic bourbon, I do think of like Old Forester 1920. If someone who's been into bourbon for a little bit, not too in deep to it yet, but they want to, you know, they're used to a little bit higher proof, this is typically a bottle I've reached for historically. Let's talk quality though, compared to some previous releases. So when this first came out, back in, I don't even know, 18, 17, whenever it came out, you know, or for when I've tried it at least. This was about $50 the bottle, and at that price, this was the best $50 bottle on the market, like hands down, no question. And it's still a very good bottle. It is. This for me was about $65 out the door when I got this recently. So not near as cheap, you know, inflation's got the better of this bottle, but it's still a good bourbon. I do not think it's the same quality it was previously. You know, some of those Old Forester 1920s I had back in the day were incredible. Honestly, incredible. Like, you could put them in a blind against barrel-proof stuff, and they would hold up amazing. You know, older barrel-proof stuff. This, I don't think could do that. You know, like I mentioned, that little bit of youthful grain. And it's unfortunate. Like, it's not a bad bottle by any means, but I don't think I would anymore put this at my top bottle at the $50 price range. You know, because you think these days what you can get for that. I mean, you can get, at least in the barrel proof range, you know, you can get your barrel proof rye, Jack Daniel's barrel proof rye bourbon, also that same price here locally. It's definitely not bad, and it's still a bottle I would definitely recommend to people. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm going to take this out of my lineup or not have this on my bar. It's always going to be there. It is. Because it's just something you can always go to, always rely on. You pretty much know what you're going to get. But I do think quality probably has taken a drop off since some of those older expressions. It could be just their stock. You know what I mean? They could be blending in younger barrels. That's possible. Could be they're picking from a different part of the warehouse, although I do know Old Forester is heat cycled, so there really shouldn't be a difference at all with their warehouse selection. But with bourbon, with the oak, the barrels you're using, that doesn't really mean anything. You know, anyone who's worked with bourbon, they know it can be different depending on where you are, top, bottom, even just the whiskey that goes into the cask, even if it's all the same mash bill. So, yeah, I mean, has anyone tried the new expressions? How do you think it holds up to some of the older ones? Could be just me. Could just be an off bottle. Could just be part of the neck pour, like I mentioned. I'm still, as mentioned, going to be recommending this all the time to people. I am. But at $60, it's going to be a little bit tougher to recommend. It is. It is. So I want to know what you guys think. Still probably my favorite of the Whiskey Row series. I do like the double-barreled 1910 as well. Definitely a lot more marshmallowy in that one. I just finished my bottle of that, so I don't have any left to compare, But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. Well, thank you all for watching the review today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and again, mentioned one of my favorite Old Forester products. Let me know if you guys have had this, what your favorite Old Forester product is, or even your favorite distillery in general. You know, and I want to see at the $60 price range, what's your favorite $60-ish bottle? Let me know that down in the comments. If you haven't already yet, please do check out my Patreon page. Launched back up, putting out content both on my website and here on YouTube. I'm trying to hit 5 days a week, doing something, whether it be written content or video content. And I'm getting doing a lot of behind the scenes early access stuff over on my Patreon, as well as early access videos, things like that as well. So if you're interested, check it out. It's the best way to support the channel. But I appreciate all you being here today. Stay tuned. We got a lot more coming. Stay insane.